across the desert sky. She was 30, strong and once unbreakable, but exhaustion gnawed at her bones. The men hunting her cared nothing for her life. To them, she was prey, nothing more than something to claim and destroy. She stumbled near a dried creek bed, knees trembling, breath shaking in her chest. The world blurred as fear pressed against her ribs. She had survived raids, hunger, betrayal, but this was different. She was alone. Her tribe was scattered. Every step felt borrowed, every heartbeat a fragile loan from fate. Night settled with a merciless chill. She pressed herself against a sandstone wall, trying to disappear into the shadows. Footsteps echoed in the distance, cruel laughter carried by the wind. She closed her eyes, preparing for the worst. But then another sound broke through. Hoofbeats, calm, strong, confident. A cowboy appeared through the dim moonlight, a man of 35 with a weathered face, marked by quiet courage. He reined in his horse when he saw her slumped form. Something in her eyes, fear mixed with defiance, made him step down slowly, showing his empty hands so she wouldn't think him another threat. She tried to stand, but her legs refused to obey. The cowboy knelt beside her, careful not to touch her until she gave permission. He asked her name, his voice low and steady. She didn't answer, but her silence was enough. He could see the truth written across her wounds and trembling breath. Someone had hunted her with cruelty she didn't deserve. He offered his canteen first, placing it within reach. She hesitated, watching him like a cornered animal, unsure of what trust even felt like anymore. But thirst finally won. She lifted it with shaking hands and drank. The cowboy didn't move closer. The respect in his stillness surprised her. The distant voices of the hunters grew louder, nearer, hungrier. The cowboy glanced toward the darkness and then back at her, his jaw tightening. Without asking, he lifted her gently onto his horse, his movements slow and careful. She stiffened at his touch, ready to fight, but he murmured that he meant only to protect her. They rode through the canyon until the shouts behind them faded into nothing. She clung to the saddle horn, not to him. He kept his hands on the reins, giving her space even as he shielded her with his own body from the cold wind. She couldn't remember the last time a man had protected her without taking something. At dawn, he stopped near his remote cabin tucked between pines. Smoke curled softly from an old stone chimney. He helped her down, but stepped back instantly so she wouldn't feel cornered. She watched him with wary eyes as he opened the door and sparked a fire, the warmth slowly filling the room with a peace she hadn't felt in years. She sat on a blanket near the hearth, arms wrapped around herself. He offered her bread, water, and a chance to rest. But nothing more. No demands, no expectations. The simplicity of his kindness confused her. Men who'd shown kindness before had always revealed darker intentions later. She didn't know what to make of one who didn't. As she slept, he stayed outside, keeping watch from the porch with his rifle across his knees. The hunters might return. He wouldn't let them near her again, not while breath still lived in his chest. Protecting her felt right in a way he couldn't explain. Maybe it was mercy, maybe destiny. When she woke, sunlight warmed the room and silence wrapped around her like a soft blanket. The cowboy stood in the doorway, speaking gently, asking if she needed a healer or supplies. She studied him, searching for the greed or desire she had learned to expect, but in his eyes she found only concern and a quiet, selfless duty. She finally told him what had happened. Her voice broke when she described the men who hunted her, the cruelty she had endured, the hopelessness she carried. He listened without interrupting. Not once did he pity her. Instead, his expression hardened, protective, angry on her behalf, refusing to let injustice define her life. He promised she would not be hunted again. The vow sounded unremarkable, yet it pierced through her armor like warm sunlight through a storm cloud. She realized he wasn't saving her out of obligation. He was saving her because he believed she deserved safety dignity, and even the chance to breathe without fear. Days passed in quiet healing. She grew stronger, her wounds fading, her spirits slowly rising again. The cowboy never crossed her boundaries, never touched her without asking, never treated her as fragile or as property. When she finally looked at him without fear, she realized something unexpected. The world had given her a protector when she'd believed she would die alone. For the first time since her life shattered, she felt hope, and the cowboy, who had spent years believing he was meant to live alone, found that saving her had brought meaning to his days. Neither spoke of destiny, yet they both felt its weight settling gently between them. Two wounded souls finding solace in the wild, unforgiving West. The Apache woman had been running for hours, branches tearing at her skin as dusk bled across